Today I messed up by threatening to kill my boss. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Hit the bell if you're a mad lad. This actually happened today. So like many of you, most of my coworkers are working from home. One of my coworkers loves to send me pictures of his lightning fast home internet. He regularly gets 500 megabits per second download over wireless, like a beehole. I have terrible internet and typically am lucky if I can get 20 megabits per second download. So like my coworker likes to do, he sends me a screenshot of his latest speed test while streaming Netflix and YouTube and who knows what else 450 plus like it's no big deal. Says something stupid like, "It ain't much, but it's mine," or something like that. I'm annoyed, because let's be honest, it's hilarious, and I would return the favor if the turntables. So I go to respond something a little over the top, but warranted. At that exact moment, my boss sends me a message about something he needed me to do. Something I hit on my keyboard made his window the active window. We use Microsoft Teams at work. Thinking I am replying to my coworker, I instead reply to my boss, "A bullet may have your name on it." Then I just move on thinking we are even. After a few minutes I am expecting some sarcastic remark in reply. When it doesn't come, I think it is strange and wonder if it didn't send. That's when I saw it. Sent to my boss, not my friend. And he hasn't replied, but he definitely saw the message. As fast as I could, I tried to explain that it was a joke for someone else. And yes, it was dark, but it was a joke. And please don't fire me. Still no reply. Then he is standing in the door to my office. Heart drops. He says, "Really? A bullet with my name on it me? Yeah, that was meant for someone else." Visibly sweating boss. Well damn, you had my hopes up there for a second. I was here to get at me. Relieved he has a dark sense of humor. Yeah, that was for coworker. Because of his dumb internet he laughed and walked away. I then needed to change my shirt because I sweat through it until it was practically a different color. Today I messed up by exfoliating my legs with a grater. Yesterday I bought a pedicure kit at Walgreens, thinking it would be a nice way to treat myself and feel more human during quarantine. I was particularly impressed with the little callus remover tool, which is essentially a micro grater. The self pedicure went well, until I got the bright idea of using the callus tool on my legs as well as my feet. Surely, I reasoned, exfoliation is good for every part of my body. I gently rubbed my shins and calves with the small grater, excited to reveal the glowy new skin beneath. 4 hours later, my legs look like they have been clawed by a demonic mountain cat. The pain is throbbing, hotter than the worst sunburn I have ever gotten. I am only managing to survive thanks to the joint medical mercies of hydrocortisone cream and Tylenol. Learn from my mistakes. Do not use a grater on your legs, ever. Today I messed up by being healthy. I spent about 5 years diagnosed as a type 2. Nothing worked to bring my blood glucose down. I went to a zero carb diet for a while and I'll admit it kept me from hitting the 300 plus zone. But staying above 250 for that amount of time left me a husk of a man. I was tired even though I slept 12 or more hours a day. I stopped playing video games because I simply didn't have the energy or focus to enjoy them. And sex was a chore. About 2 weeks ago, my GP finally said that she would get me an appointment with an endocrinologist. He diagnosed me as type 1 on the spot, did some blood work to prove it, and called my GP an absolutely dangerous idiot for waiting this long. Now, I haven't had a single reading above 200. I'm eating carbs again. I had my first bowl of cereal in 5 years last night and my meter read 116 at the end of 2 hours after it. So, last night, I felt fantastic. I did my old high school weightlifting routine. I went for a 20-minute jog, and I had the best sex ever with my wife. Great, right? I wake up this morning and notice something. It hurts to breathe. Every muscle and bone in my body hates me. Learn from my mistake. Don't overdo it just because you feel like Superman. You're very much still human. Waking up to coffee with cream and my wife making oatmeal made it better. Today I messed up by being so lonely I befriended a bee. Where I grew up bees were not much of a problem. Our houses are made of cement or bricks, so they usually can't build nests inside, and if they come in it's just because they got lost. They never really bothered me and I always found them very cute. Recently I moved to a country where houses are mainly made of wood. I have a bedroom on the top floor of a house I share with other students, but they all went back to their parents before the quarantine. As you can imagine, it got pretty lonely. Until a sunny day, a couple weeks ago, I decided to let my windows open to get some fresh air. A fluffy honeybee came to pay me a visit. It flew around the room for a bit and I eventually stopped paying attention to it. The next day it was back and I found it so cute I decided to make it my pet bee. It kept coming back for a few days and I started thinking it was weird, because there's nothing in my room that could attract a bee. Or that's what I thought. Yesterday evening I made sure it was gone before closing the windows, because I didn't want it to be stuck inside all night long. But this morning I woke up to the sound of that little fucker throwing itself to the glass and I was extremely confused. I let it out and after a while it came back, so I checked where it was going. It immediately flew to the beams over my bed and only then I noticed there were holes in them. I immediately got the bee out of my room and checked those holes. One of them was deep and filled with pollen. A lot of pollen. I guess that's why I kept finding it all over my bed. I cleaned it with some sticks and a vacuum cleaner, and then stuffed it with some paper. I don't even have tape. Now, my room is on the southern side of the house and the windows are on the ceiling, so when it's sunny it gets pretty damn hot in here. Since the hole was closed I decided to open the windows again because I couldn't breathe. But that little shit was right there waiting to get in. It went to its hole and it started freaking out because it was closed. I tried being patient. Catching it wasn't an option because it was flying too high, but it just wouldn't leave, and I had to get back to work. So after a good half an hour of waiting I did what I wish I never had to do. I took the vacuum cleaner Ghostbuster style and faced the bastard. Now the horrible crime I've committed is haunting me and I keep hearing weird noises all around my room. I wonder how I'll sleep tonight, knowing about the holes in the beam just over my bed. I hope the creatures that populate them won't be too hungry for revenge. Today I messed up by not remembering to turn my Bluetooth headphones off. So I usually listen to audiobooks before I go to bed to wind down and relax, and I use earbuds so that I can lay comfortably in bed. I also have a pair of over-ear wireless headphones that I use frequently. What I didn't realize is that when you plug the buds in it auto disconnects the Bluetooth ones but of course doesn't turn them off. Cut to about 2 AM and I woke up needing to pee and realizing I had disconnected the earbuds in my sleep. I removed them and thought I heard faint voices like someone was in the house outside the bedroom door. Instantly my heart is pounding and I grab a Bowie knife I have on the bedside table and try to silently creep towards the door to hear better. Positive that I hear at least one person, I open the door slowly, knife raised, and tentatively step out. I begin searching for the speaker. In hindsight, probably turning on a light or saying something would have been a better idea than walking around the house naked with a knife. That's when I heard a voice say that the astropathic connection is not reliable. My brain goes full potato and I say out loud, what are the odds I'm having a break-in by a 40k nerd? Realizing I'm an idiot and not the victim of a home invasion, I go to put the knife in its sheath. Miss. Stab my hand. Lights on. Successfully put blade away. Found the headphones on the couch, turned them off, lights off, adrenaline still high. I get back into bed and watch the sunrise, unable to fall back to sleep. Today I messed up by throwing concentrated hydrochloric acid on my crush. I was taking organic chemistry last year, and it came with a lab component. The lab sucked. It sucked so hard, but I didn't know how much it could suck until this incident. I was 19 years old with, unknown to me, severe and treated ADHD, and I never actually did the required pre-lab reading. I would just copy the protocol from a secret Dropbox everyone had. So I never really knew what I was doing or how I should plan the timing of things. I had a huge crush on this guy. See, a few hoods down from me. He looked like a blonde Henry Cavill. Not as Hollywood gorgeous but still hot AF. It was very difficult to even start a conversation, since we were usually busy, but I was actually making good progress. I found out his name and I was 60% sure he knew mine. Until that day. The solution I was working with had to be within a temperature range. Getting a steady temperature with a hot plate is difficult, so things were very time sensitive. So, because I didn't really look at the protocol that much, halfway through I realized I needed some 3-MHCl very quickly or the whole thing could be ruined. I jumped in the line to get to where they had all the supplies. C got in line behind me, and then I started stressing about running out of time and I so kinda forgot he was there. I finally get to the jug and then I hear my hood buddy holler to me that my solution was almost done. So I just turned the jug nozzle all the way to the side to get the HCl out faster. Ended up filling it up to 50 milliliters in a 50 milliliter beaker instead of 5 or 10 milliliters and whipped around to rush over to my hood. While I was doing what might as well have been a goddamn pirouette, 50 milliliters of concentrated hydrochloric acid flew out of my overfilled beaker and onto the hottest guy I had ever seen. In lab, everyone had to wear goggles and a lab coat. The acid landed on his chest, which would have normally been covered by the lab coat, but no one ever buttoned it all the way. So the acid landed on his cotton shirt and above the collar and dripped down towards his stomach. My soul left my body. Everyone else's souls left their bodies. Someone said, "Oh my god," and multiple people gasped very loudly and dramatically. My face felt very cold and stony and my heart literally skipped a beat. C said, "It's okay. It's okay. I'm fine. I'm fine," as someone else, and I tried to blot it off. The Tay started freaking and asked, "It wasn't the HCl, right?" And I had to tell him that yes it was. Tay booked it to the professor's office, which is attached to the lab but locked from the inside, so the professor could ignore us undergrad gremlins when we needed help. C's face began looking pained and he tried to pull his shirt away from his body while reaching under to wipe his chest. Someone asked, should we pour the Neo on it? Neo is a strong base that could neutralize the acid but is also very caustic itself, and everyone pretty much agreed that that could be really bad idea. It was dead silent after that, and so we all just kinda stared at this dude as he was frantically wiping himself off. C pretty much gave up on this and started trying to take his coat and shirt off. The skin above the collar of his shirt was starting to turn red, and his eyes were watering really badly, probably due to the fumes. My eyes were watering also, but it was because I was fearfully sobbing. Professor finally arrives, and she's super pissed. She yelled at everyone to get out of the room and started pulling C, still fully clothed, towards the emergency shower. He asked if he could just take his shirt off and wipe his skin, and the professor was basically like, "No, into the shower you go." The shower is conveniently placed right by the exit, so everyone filing out had to go right by this man taking a shower in his shoes while the professor was pool-eyeing his shirt off. I didn't make eye contact, so I don't know what kind of face he was making, but I'm positive he was completely dead inside. I didn't really see what happened after that. I was called into the professor's office. I think she was planning to chew me out, but I had been crying since before we left the room and looked pitiful. So she just asked for my version of events and told me to be more careful. I had to buy sweatpants and a sweatshirt for him from the little lab store we had in the hall, and finish the experiment, but other than that, it was over. I have no idea as to the severity of the burns, or even if there were any. I got CC'd on some kind of incident report a few days later, but I didn't look at it for some final salt in the wound. Our lab report requires us to list any errors we made during the lab, so I had to say, spilled concentrated acid on someone. In the future I will try not to spill concentrated acid on people. It was such a memorable event, I don't think I could have gotten away with leaving it out. Besides a profuse apology the next time I saw him, I never spoke to, looked at, or stood near my crush again after that day. Somehow ended up getting a B+ that semester. Looks like you reached the end of the video. Like and subscribe to receive absolutely nothing for absolutely free.